Friday. Next time you come to school, the majority of you guys are going to be taking the AP exam. AP exam, as you should be aware, is Monday. It starts at 8, but you need to be here by 7:15 a.m. You're going to enter in the gym area through the courtyard. Again, it's going to take a little bit to check you guys in. AP World History has more kids testing than any other subject we usually do. There's close to 100 kids, so it will take us a little bit to get everybody checked in. Those of you here in person, I will be there. I'll be able to verify you are who you say you are. But our remote students, you're going to need to bring some form of identification, school ID, driver's license, something that proves you are who you say you are, because I can't necessarily vouch for you because I don't know what a lot of you guys look like. Some basic things that I would like to discuss, and again, this is just kind of a reminder. I emailed out late last night the last of the feedback of the mock exam. There was a few things I noticed that I do want to address just so there's no confusion. First, again, you've got 4 broad parts of the AP exam. You got your multiple choice, 55 questions. That is 40% of your exam. That's going to be 55 minutes. You then will transition to your SAQs. You will have 3 sets of SAQ questions to answer. Question 3 and 4, you actually get to choose between. That is 20% of your exam score. You will have 40 minutes to get it done. You will have your 10-minute break. Then you have both of your big essays, the DBQ and the LEQ. It is highly recommended you do the DBQ first. They give you an hour and 40 minutes. Highly recommended you spend about an hour on the DBQ, including, 15 minutes or so just to plan it out. Like we said yesterday, if you plan it out properly, the DBQ is not that hard. There's definitely some easy points to be had there. It's longer to set up, so you should spend more time on it. Plus, it's a little bit more significant towards your grade. It is 25%. And then the LEQ, you will be given the choice of 3 prompts. It is 15% of your grade. You got 40 minutes. So some basic things for each section that I noticed, looking at the mock exams and typing up scores and stuff. And let me just say on the mock exam, if you did good, that's great. If you did bad, it ain't the end of the world. It was practice. That's what it's for. The mock exam was more to give you at least a little bit of an idea of how the exam's structured, kind of how difficult it'll be, the style of questions you'll be answered, and also just having to get through all that stuff in, 3 hours and 15 minutes. So if you did poorly, don't think, oh man, there's no way I'm going to pass this thing. In all likelihood, you didn't prepare much for the mock exam. Hopefully you're preparing for this. So some real basic stuff for the multiple choice. Like we said, these are all sets of questions. They will be attached to some sort of stimulus, okay? A lot of times it's a little reading selection. A lot of times it's map, chartograph, something like that. Always look at the titles. Always look at the sources, the years. Those can kind of point you in the right direction. It's up to you whether you want to look over the multiple choice questions first and then go back to the source, or do it opposite. Again, that's personal preference. But read everything thoroughly one time through. Read the questions, read the answer choices. Try to eliminate 1 or 2 answer choices, maybe even 3, as you look over it. Again, periodization is one of the easiest ways to do it. If you see an answer choice that looks good, but it's in the wrong time period, well, it can't be accurate. So mark through that. If worse comes to worse, guess. Obviously that's not the best strategy, but like I said, if you eliminate some answer choices and you can figure out what's not the right answer, well, that makes the likelihood of you choosing what is the right answer a little bit better. It's 55 questions, 55 minutes, including sources. You are going to be crunched on time, so you do not have time to agonize over any single question. You need to answer it, you need to move on, and if time permits, at the end, you can go back and double check. Bubble your answer sheet as you are going. Okay, this isn't one of those where you're going to want to bubble everything in the test book, then transition over to the answer sheet, mainly because you don't have time. They're not going to grade anything that's in the test booklet. It's only the answer sheet. They're never even going to look at that. So just kind of keep that in mind. Also, if you start to run out of time, they probably are just going to call, hey, there's 10 minutes left. They don't give you often reminders of the time. There will be a whiteboard with the start time and end time. There will be a pretty big clock that you should be able to see pretty easily. I was down there the other day. We had it set up a little bit better than it's been in the past. You can always ask how much time you have left or what time it is if you can't see it. But really the only reminder in all likelihood they're going to give you is, hey, there's 10 minutes left. At that point, look and see how many you got left. Okay, if you can finish up, finish up. Okay, if you know though, man, I got 10 minutes, I got 25 questions left, work on what you can diligently for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. And then there at the very end, you got a couple minutes left, see your way out. Doesn't have to be C, but pick one letter, especially if it's a large number of questions, and roll with it. Because statistically, you'll get at least a couple of those right. And again, it's all about accumulating as many points as you go. All right, then you will seal that up. You'll go on to the SAQ. You got 3 sets of short answer questions. Scan through them before you ever start. Scan through them. Go to the last 2 first because you choose one or the other. Mark out the one you know you're not going to do. Then scan through the rest and see what is the easiest. You can go in whatever order you want. Just keep in mind, it's going to tell you, you're going to have a specific sheet in probably your answer booklet that tells you, hey, this is where SAQ 1 goes. This is where 2 goes. This is the sheet that you write 3 or 4 on. You need to write your stuff on the right sheet. Okay, if you mess up, you can mark it out and say, hey, this question's over here, but don't do that, okay? Try to get it on the right sheet the first time. Know that you do have a certain definitive area. It's really not that big that you're going to write. So answer your questions, go in the order that you feel best about. Use the ACE format if possible, but again, you're looking at about 3 sentences. Key thing is be specific. All the specific vocab and events and people and places you want to put that in there. Okay. Remember, if you put something in there that's not right on all your writing, it's okay because we look past your mistakes. As long as there's enough good stuff there to get some points for, you're going to get it. You'll move on from that little section. That needs to be written in pen. All of your writing needs to be in pen. If it's in pencil, and they'll tell you this in the instructions, but if it's in pencil, they're not even going to give you credit for it. So it's got to be in pen. If you're writing and you screw something up, mark through it and just keep going. You cannot start over because you do not have time or room to do that. So just mark through it, go on. Don't worry about spelling and grammar. Just get it on the page, but make sure all of your writing is legible. If we cannot read it at a glance, it could just be thrown out and given a 0. Okay, they've got to be able to read your writing. You'll be given that 10-minute break, and then, like I said, you've got your document-based questions. You've got your LEQ. Some basic things. First, on the SAQ and the DBQ, make sure you do some labeling. On the SAQ, you're going to have A, B, and C answers. You can put them in whatever order you want, but label them. That way it's very easy to see what answer goes with what question. Try not to do one big kind of blended essay that kind of sort of answers all 3 of the questions because maybe you're not really fully answering all 3. These are individual questions, independent questions of each other. You need to answer them as such. On the DBQ, label your documents. Hey, in Doc 1 and Doc 2. That way, whoever's reading it knows exactly what document you're referring to. Same deal when you do the document sourcing. If you're talking about context or audience or purpose or point of view, don't be vague about it. Use those words. Hey, the point of view is this, and this is why it's important. This is how it affects the document. Again, there's points to be had there pretty easily. You may want to look over the rubrics. There will be reminders of the rubrics. But again, if you're still not entirely clear on what all you get points for, again, the rubrics are in Canvas in like multiple places. What else? Things to bring. Highly recommend, I wouldn't worry about pencils. They're going to give you pencils. But bring some pens you like. The pens, I don't know, I'm weird about pens. But the pens they're going to give you are kind of like this. Okay, they're the cheapest little big pens you could find. They run out of ink. They're kind of, they're just not good pens. That's what we have. But you can bring your own. If you got a nice black pen or a blue pen, it has to be one of those too, that you kind of enjoy writing with, it's smooth to write with. I'm weird like that. I know I like to write with a blue pen, a halfway decent one. Bring it. Just make sure it's not anything that'll smudge when it gets scanned. You're going to be writing a lot. You've been typing pretty much everything in this class thus far. This is going to be a different process for you. It's okay, though. Right? If you mess up, mark through it, keep going. Don't worry about spelling and grammar, but make sure that you're hitting up on the various things that you need to get credit. Like I said, get here at 7:15 at the latest. Bring with you some water, okay? Bring a snack or something if you think you're going to need it. In all likelihood, they will not be providing that this year. When you go into the gym, before that, they're going to take up your phones, all your electronics. You can't wear a watch. You can't have any of that stuff. You're going to go in, you're going to put your backpack at the back of the gym, and you can have snacks, but they don't get to go up with you when you're taking the test. It's not like you can be eating Cheetos and drinking water while you're testing, okay? That stuff's got to be at the back of the gym. You have to leave it outside of your backpack because they're not going to let you rifle through your backpack even during the break. So bring that stuff, okay? And before you come, obviously, sleep good, eat a good breakfast, come in with some energy. Try not to be late because, if you're trying to get here last second, you're going to be all frazzled, and that's not the sort of state of mind you want to come in. You want to be confident. You sat through this class all year. You've had to do stuff that hasn't always been pleasant, but you've done it, for the most part. You've been here. This is your opportunity to hopefully go and get you some college credit. A couple other real basic things, and then I got a quick video, and then we're going to be done. The units of instruction, again, you're only being tested on 1,200 today, okay? It's 9 different units. If you find yourself in a jam, obviously I want you to study all of it. But if you find yourself in a jam and you are just running behind and you don't have time to study everything, if you got to sacrifice something, this unit 1 and 2 over 1,200 to 1,450, those would be the one to skip. Okay, there's going to be the least amount of questions over these units. Again, at maximum, that's 20% of the test. Okay, units 3, 4, 5, and 6 are really important. 7, 8, and 9 kind of go together. They're pretty darn important too. That could be 30% of your test. Obviously, I want you to study all of it if you have time, but if you don't, yeah, you can maybe sacrifice unit 1 and 2. How I would study, it's kind of what we talked about before. I would start off with your curriculum guide, okay? Unit 1 and 2, curriculum guide. Unit 3 and 4, we had them. You guys reviewed them last week. They're in Canvas. Look over the historical developments. Look over the illustrative examples. That's what your questions are going to be drawn for. After you look over the curriculum guide, go and look at that Fiveable website. There's stuff on there that costs, but most of it doesn't. If you just scroll down and you click on the unit, they have each subtopic, and they'll have an overview of each subtopic. That doesn't cost anything. Just click past the stuff that they're trying to sell you. You can get to that stuff for free. Read over that. Maybe go back to your notebook. Heck, if you have to, go back to the textbook. Again, that's a pretty comprehensive review. Then if you want to follow it up, maybe watch you a Heimler's history video over that unit, over that subtopic. He's got videos over all of them. You repeat that process for every unit, man, you're going to have a really good review of everything that you could possibly be tested on. Hopefully by now, the writing, you at least understand how to do it. So hopefully content is the main thing to review. But if you're still fuzzy on how to write an SAQ or an LEQ or a DBQ, there's a plethora of videos out there that address that. Again, I don't want to give you every resource in the world because I think it would be overwhelming. But in addition to the things that I'm showing you, or I have shown you, there's other things that you can find that may suit your needs a little bit better. Finally, and I've got links to it, we got some live reviews going on. Now, the AP Daily live review, they did this like a week ago. So these aren't really live anymore, but there's a few different videos where, there's links to them in this PDF that cover time periods, basic content review. The College Board stuff to me is very dry. It's kind of, I don't know, might put you to sleep. I prefer Heimler, but again, that's up to you. There's other people out there that do the same stuff, though. Heimler is having live reviews tonight, on Saturday, and on Sunday. Now, it's going to be big, broad overviews of each of our time periods. So obviously, if you want to get more really specific information, he's got the little subtopic videos that do a good job of that. But this is something I would highly recommend. And again, the Fiveable, just let me show you this real fast, because I had some people say, nah, you got to pay for it. No, there's stuff on there you got to pay for, but most of it you don't. At least the stuff that I'm asking you to do. Unit, click on the unit. Don't click on all this crazy stuff. Just click on the unit, and then you've got the overview. That's kind of what we were looking at when we were going through it ourselves. But also for each little subtopic, you've got a good overview, you got some maps, you got some other things that could help you. Again, not every single thing's free, but that at least is. And I think, looking at the curriculum guide and then looking at this for a little bit more detail, heck, maybe throwing in your notebook and textbook in to boot, man, you're going to have access to a lot of the stuff that you're going to be testing. Any questions about procedural stuff or anything before we start this little video? All right. Now this video, it's more funny than anything. But it does, believe it or not, actually give a pretty good overview of a lot of the stuff that we've studied. Some of you guys may have seen it before. It's called History of the World, I guess. I don't know why my computer's doing this weird stuff. It's on there, History of the World, I guess. If you go and Google this or you get into YouTube, the original version has some profanity, has some inappropriate stuff. The version that I've got is the clean version, the approved for schools version. We're not going to watch the whole thing because it goes back to like the Big Bang, and you ain't going to be tested over that. But we're going to start really with human history. And really, you're not going to be tested over anything prior to 1200. But again, to just give you some context, we're going to watch everything, once human history more or less begins. Here we go. Here's my video right here, History of the World. So we're going to watch that, and whatever time is left, you can use to do whatever you need to. Maybe kind of start coming up with a game plan of how you're going to study. Maybe start studying. Obviously, if you've got questions, ask them. If you only work, you can work on that as well. Again, I don't want to do too much today because at this point, we've done a lot. You've been exposed to a lot. At this point, it's kind of up to you to come up with a good game plan and follow through. Like I said, if you study, if you do the work, you all have a really good chance of college prep. Now, if you don't study at all or haven't studied at all, you might want to just sleep in because this is a difference. But it is doable if you're willing to put the work. So where we're starting off, it's kind of the beginning of time. It's the beginning of settlement. We're going all the way back to human beings being hunter-gatherers. Again, there's some mildly inappropriate stuff. It is in some ways done for comedic effect, but it also does kind of lay out a lot of the events, a lot of the people that we see. So hopefully, if nothing else, this will kind of trigger some memories, and seeing it in sequence, I don't know, maybe it will help. Maybe it'll give you something to think about. So here we go. Once this is done, we'll call it a day and you do what you need to do.
You can walk over here. Cool. Well, I guess we're stuck here now. Let's review. There's people on the plane. And they're chasing their food.
All right, online kids, if you need anything, please let me know. Good luck, study hard. Like I said, if you got questions throughout the day, please shoot me an email.
Use metal. It's underground. Better farming was just invented in a sweet dank valley right in between these two rivers, and the animals are helping. Kids, whole food.